Hello everyone, welcome to this particular exercise on AutoCAD. In this particular exercise, we'll be taking a look at how to draw this particular orthographic drawing. In order to be able to make this orthographic drawing, we'll be making use of tools such as circle, line, construction line, fillet. We'll be making use of array and a host of other tools. So if you are interested in this exercise, let's get started. The first challenge in this exercise is to study the diagram to understand in details how to go about the drawing. I would prefer we start with our construction line. Here you can see an horizontal construction line, which is the center line. Then you can see two center lines at distance 84 apart. Distance 84. So I'm going to start with this construction line. I'm going to be doing this using construction line. Then I will draw one of this center line and offset at 84. So I go to construction line. I choose the horizontal option, H. Construction line again. This time vertical option, V. Enter. Now next, so I have drawn this construction line, which is the center line. I've drawn the center line using construction line. And I've drawn another center line using construction line. Now I'm going to offset this particular center line to distance 84 to the right. Offset distance of 84. Select the object, then pick a point to the right hand side. So now it has given me the two vertical lines at distance 84. So I had to adjust my zoom to make my drawing visible. I had to adjust. Initially the zoom was so large, so I had to adjust my zoom. So I've been able to draw these two vertical lines at distance 84. I might also want to draw the center line at distance 42. So to do that, I'm still going to be using offset. O is a shortcut for offset. So I'll type O on my keyboard, then enter, then distance of 42, which is half of 84. Select object, then this side. So now I've been able to draw 42, 42, 42 to the right, 42 to the left, making a total of 84. So now I will continue with the drawing by attending to this end of the drawing. So I have a bigger circle of radius 27. I actually have three circles. There is this bigger one of radius 27. Then there is another center line circle of radius 16. Then a smaller one of diameter 6, radius 8. So I'm going to be drawing the three circles. Radius 8, diameter 6, radius 8, radius 16, and radius 27. I'm going to be drawing the three. So I pick circle, center line. So to obtain this intersection, make sure that your object snap is on. Object snap. So intersection option of object snap is on. Make sure your object snap is active. So center line, radius 27, radius 16, and radius 8. Circle again, radius 16. Another circle, radius 8. Oh, sorry. Center line, circle, center line of the circle, radius 8. So I've been able to draw the three circles, radius 8, radius 16, and radius 27. Okay, for your practice, I'll be adding the picture of this particular diagram. I'll be adding it to the description. So make sure you download it for on the description so that you can practice the drawing. Okay, so next step for me is to draw uh 8 copies of diameter 6, these circles, these smaller circles. We have 8 copies of them. Each of them is diameter 6, radius 3. So I'm going to draw one, then I'm going to use array to make 8 copies. So I'm going to draw one of it. So I'll draw the one at this end. So I'll pick my circle, center of the circle, radius 3. So the next step for me is to make an array of these objects. From the diagram, I'll be needing 8 copies of it, 8 copies. each of diameter 6, which is radius 3. So I'm going to draw one of it, then use array to make the 8 copies. So I go to my array, polar array, select object, I select one of the circle, press enter on my keyboard, enter, then pick the center point. The center point should be this point. So this should be the center point for the whole 8 objects. So I'm going to pick this as a center point. Then by default, I have 6 objects, but I want 8 copies, not 6. So I'll change this 6 to 8. Then I'll click accept. So now I have 8 copies of those small circles. Okay, I think we are fairly done with that end. So I'm going to move to this other end. I'm going to move to this other hand and try and draw, make the diagram here. So here we have this big circle of radius 27. Then we have the center line circle of radius 16. So I'm going to be drawing both radius 27 and radius 16. So circle, center point of the circle, radius 27, another circle, radius 16. Okay. So I've done that. Then I'm going to draw this smaller one too, diameter 12, which is radius 6. So circle again. Okay. All right. So next step is for me to draw this diagram here. So draw this diagram. I have 3 copies of it. So I'll be using array to make the 3 copies. But first of all, I will draw each one of it. So I'm going to draw this. Now, what information do we have? What information do we have? So we have that it's of radius 5 at this point. Then it has an angle of 60 degrees. Okay. So now let me make my angle of 60 degrees first. Now I'm make my angle of 60 degrees to the vertical. Now the way AutoCAD measures angles, it measures angles from this direction. From this direction. From 3 o'clock direction, it measures its angle. So that this is angle 0. So in an anti-clockwise direction, this is 0 in an anti-clockwise direction. So moving like this anti-clockwise, this is 90. From here to here is 90. So if I add 90 to 60, that will give me 150. So it means that in AutoCAD, I'll be making use of angle 150, which is from 0 in this direction in the horizontal, it is 0. Horizontal to the right is 0. So moving anti-clockwise, 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 90. Then continuing plus 60, 150. So it means that this angle is 150. So I'll go to my AutoCAD. I'll go to my polar array. Now to get angle 150, I might need to activate interval of 30. Interval of 30 can give me angle 150. 120 plus 30 is 150. So I'll activate angle 30, then make sure that my polar tracking is on. Now I'll pick my line. So now I pick my line. Now you can see it's tracking every 30 interval. 30, 60, 90, 120, now 150. So I want a line at angle 150. So now I'm able to draw that line. Escape on my keyboard. Now I can put off my polar tracking. So now I've been able to draw this line at angle 150, which is 60 from the vertical. All right. So let's go back to the drawing. So on the drawing, I have radius 5 for there's a semicircle here of radius 5. So I can easily draw a circle from this intersection radius 5. So another circle radius 5. So those 2 circles are the end points of this shape. So the next thing for me to do is now connect this shape with an arc. Okay, to draw this arc here, I'm going to be making use of circle. So I'm going to draw 2 circles to form that arc. So the first circle I'm going to draw is going to be of radius um, 16 plus 5. So from this center point to this center line, to this circular center line is 16. Yeah, I can see the dimension here, 16. So I'm going to be adding 5 to that 16 to give me 21. 16 plus 5. So radius 21 is going to give me this arc. So I'll go to my drawing, circle, center of the circle, then radius of the circle is 21. So now you can see by drawing a circle of radius 21, it connects these two circles. So I'm going to be doing a similar thing. So I'm going to be doing a similar thing for the downward part. But in this case, I'm going to be subtracting 5 from 16. So 16 from 5, 5 from 16, that will give me 11. So 16 will get me to this point. If I subtract radius 5 to go lower, that will give me 11. So I'm going to draw a circle, another circle, center, radius 11. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to trim off unnecessary part formed by this object. So I'm going to be using trim, enter. So if you don't know how to use some of these tools, you can go to our previous video to learn how to use the tools. You want to know how to use trim, how to use your circle, how to draw your circle. So go to our previous video, how to delete. So we have done videos on how to do this, how to make use of these tools. So just go to our videos on them and learn how to use the tools. Okay, I've been able to form one part of this object. From the our diagram, we need 3 copies. So I'll be making use of array. So polar array, select the objects I want to array. So let me just select the object, enter, then center point of the object. I want 3 copies, not 6. So I'll change this to 3, accept. So now I have 3 copies of the object. Very good. All right, so my last challenge for this drawing is to connect these two ends. To connect these two ends, what information do I have? Here I have 2 circles, radius 12 and diameter 14. Diameter 14 is radius 7. I like to convert my diameter information to radius. So diameter 14 will be radius 7. So I have radius 7 and radius 12. So I'm going to draw the 2 circles, center points, radius 7, another circle, radius 12. Okay. Now we need a line joining the two ends. So now the line joining the two ends, so radius 12, I'm going to be using offset. Radius 12 downwards, radius 12 upwards. Because this circle is touching this line and this circle is radius 12. So it means that the offset distance from the center to here will also be 12. So I'm going to be using offset, my offset tool, offset distance of 12, enter. So select this downwards, select this also upwards. Okay, so now I need to trim. I need to trim. So trim, 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 trim. Then I'll be deleting other parts of the object. I'll be deleting other part of the object. Okay. All right. I think we have almost completed our drawing. So the next step for me is to trim off all the unnecessary parts. You can see there is no line here. So I'll be trimming off these parts in my diagram. So trim. Yeah, it looks much better. Okay, final step. I'm going to add fillets. Fillet to this junction. Fillet. So we have all fillets are of radius 4. So we have our fillet as radius 4. So I'll go to fillet. I'll choose multiple. Then I'll choose radius of 4. Enter. So select the two. So to add fillets. Okay. To add fillets. To add fillets. So I'm going to trim off. Trim. Enter. I'm going to trim off this intersection for the fillets. Okay, now we have our drawing fully made. Now we have our drawing fully made. This is good. Okay, I want to trim off this my center line. So I'm going to do this. I will draw a rectangle to create a boundary, then trim off, trim off, trim off. Now I can delete this rectangle. So I've been able to trim this to, okay, let me delete this. Okay, so next step for me is to add my layers to create my layer setting so that I can form thickness and to make these nice center lines. I want these lines to be center lines, not to be thick lines like I have in my drawing. I want it to be center lines to put the necessary center lines and to make the necessary lines thick. So I'll be doing my layer setting. So we have done a tutorial on how to create layers. So now I'll go to my layer property. I'm going to create two new layers, or let me just make it three. So I'll rename one of this center line. Then I'll rename this thick line. Okay, so for my center line, I'll give it a color of red. For my thick lines, I'll make it black. I'll leave it as default black, but I will increase the line width to a thick form of line. I want it to be thick enough. Let me use 0.3. Okay, all right. Now I can close. Okay, so now I want to apply my center line. Okay, I notice we have deleted the center line at this point. So I'm going to be adding it back. So now I notice I have deleted the center line running through the center horizontally. So I'm going to add it back. I'm talking about this particular center line. I notice I've deleted it in my drawing. So I'm going to add it back by using my line. So I'll make sure that my center option is on for my object snap. So now using line, I'm going to draw it back, escape, line again from this end, escape. All right, good. So now I will apply my layers. I've done my layer setting. So now I'm going to apply it. I'm going to choose all my center lines. I'm going to select all my center lines, including the circular center lines. Okay, center line. Okay, now you can see my center line in color red. You can see my center line in color red, but it's not showing the broken line. It's not showing the broken line. It's not showing it as broken line. So now I think on my properties, I have not made that line a broken line. So I'll go back to my layer property. For the center line, line type is still on continuous. So I'm going to make it to be a center line type of line. So I'm going to click on this continuous, then I'll click on load. Then I'll find center line option. So now you can see center line option. Let me choose this. Okay. So now I've been able to change the line type, the line property for the center line to be a center line kind of line. So now I can close now. So now you can see the difference. Now you can see that it's now showing like a center line, but the spacing in between the lines is too small for this diagram. So I'm going to adjust that. I'm going to adjust that. I will select a copy of this line. I will select just one of the line, right click, properties, then line type scale. There's an option here for line type scale. I will change it from 1 to 10. Enter. So now when I change it from 1 to 10, you can see the spacing is larger. The spacing for that line is larger. So I'll do the same for other lines. I'll do the same for other lines. Select the other center lines. Right click, properties, change from line type scale, change from 1 to 10. Enter. Okay, escape on my keyboard. Now you can see the center lines are now showing. They are now visible. They are now visible. All right. So next step for me is to make my lines thick dark. Now make my lines thick dark. So I've already done the properties for thick dark. So I'll just select the objects. I'll select the object I want to be thick. That I want to have that property. Okay. Okay. All right. Then I'll give it the property of thick line. No, so now I've added the thick line property, but that thickness is not visible. To make it visible, I'll go to my drawing aid. There is a tool called show or hide line width. I'll make sure it's active. Show or hide line width. It's active. Now it's active. So I need to add to my selection. I need to add to my selection. Then this also needs to be thick. This also needs to be thick. So thick lines. Escape. Okay. Now I'm done with the diagram. I'm done with the diagram. I'm done with the diagram. So final step for this drawing is to add my dimension. To add my dimension, that's the final step to this diagram. So to add my dimension, I'll go and do the setting for under annotation. So annotation, dimension style. We have looked at the topic on how to create dimension. So if you don't know how to create your dimension setting, go and check our past video on how to create dimension. So I'll click on new. Let me call it new dimension, continue. Now underline, I want my dimension to be of color black, to be black color. So black color. Okay. Line type continuous. Okay. Color black. Symbol and arrow. Text. The text size 0.18 by default. I'll change this to, let me change this to 5. Then text alignment, align with dimension line. Primary units, I want it to be whole number. Text, okay. Symbol and arrow size, I'll make it 5 also. So let's see how this is. Let's see how it is. Then set current, close. Now I can now apply my dimension. So for my dimension, to apply my dimension, I will go to the option here, linear. So with linear, I'll be able to select, I can use linear for vertical and horizontal dimension. So this is 84. Okay. I think my dimension is a bit big. So I will adjust it. I'll make it a little bit smaller. So I'll go to annotation, dimension style, new dimension. I'll modify it. So I think that 5 is a little bit big. I'll make it 3. Symbol and arrow, I'll also make it 3. Okay, close. All right, so 84. Okay, it looks good for me. So size 3. So it looks good for me. So now I can continue with my dimension. So dimension, the radius. So this is radius 3, radius 27. So now you can bring out the dimension of your drawing. Okay, radius 12. So if you want to bring out the diameter option, so I can go to diameter. So it's going to give me the diameter value, diameter 14. Now you can confirm this with what we have in our drawing. You can see diameter 14, radius 12. So it's exactly what we have. So you can keep on and dimension your drawing. Then you want to dimension this angle, just choose the angle option, select select this line, then it will give you the angle of 60. Okay, that's good. All right, so you can go ahead and finish dimensioning your drawing. All right, so what else do I need to dimension? Radius 12, radius 6 for this. Okay. Okay. All right. So um for this particular one, you want to show that it's 8 copies. So you can double click on it. So radius 3 and add to that dimension, add to that text. So 8 copies. So I can do something like this. 8 copies. So radius 3, 8 copies of it. All right. So what else do I need to dimension? Okay. Um, okay. So let me add a line here, a vertical line. Okay. I want to be able to dimension this. So this should be a center line. So I'll give it a center line property. So I want to dimension this to show 10. So I'm going to add my linear dimension to these two. Linear dimension. So from here to here is 42, as we have in a drawing. So now you can see that we are able to add dimension to our drawing. So if you have been able to learn one or two things from this exercise, just practice more. I hope you have been able to learn one or two things from this exercise. So practice more and get the best out of your AutoCAD knowledge. Thank you so much.